Crimson Desert has had a roller coaster launch period. It went from being the most hyped game, releasing to mixed reviews, and now, after a massive Swift patch, is sitting at very positive on Steam. In terms of long form reviews, however, Crimson Desert's reception from the gaming community is still torn. Some people love it, and some hate it. In this video, I hope to give you insight as to whether this game is for you. Right off the bat, I'll reaffirm what you've probably heard already. Crimson Desert is a slow burn game. You've heard it about other games, and it is perfectly accurate with this one. I personally spent the first 4 to 5 hours being introduced to new mechanics. It's not a straight up tutorial fest though. You do have the freedom to explore after the first hour. Even after you've gotten past the initial wave of mechanics the game has to teach you, there are still more important mechanics to learn that the game doesn't shove right in front of you. For example, you could definitely go a long time without knowing you can craft, refine, or embed skill gems into your gear. This all plays into the exploration part of the game. And I cannot stress this enough. If you are wondering if this game is for you, you have to come to terms with the fact that you're supposed to take your time. You're supposed to read the tutorials, you're supposed to explore. If you do get stuck, it's okay to put what you're doing on the back burner and go do something else. A lot of people will come into this game, bum rush the main story, and get frustrated that the main story and the characters are lackluster. Unfortunately, it's true. The main story, the main character Cliff, and all the supporting cast don't offer anything stimulating. The main story is simply a catalyst towards areas that provide emergent gameplay. The world and its secrets are the real game. That being said, the world of Crimson Desert is lush with content. A hidden magical village tucked in the forest here, a factory that you have to figure out how to get running there, and a mountainous structure you can't wait to climb in the distance. The world is your playground. After about 25 hours, I progressed up to Chapter 6. I can say with confidence that most of my time was not spent doing the main story. I loved exploring, finding puzzles, managing and growing my base camp, gaining reputation with all the local factions by doing their quests, and just taking my time to soak it all in. Now, I do want to mention some of my shortcomings. The controls do take some getting used to. You do get used to them, but even afterwards, there is still some jank. Sometimes there's some input delay when you're already moving. Jumping next to a wall doesn't always lead you to climbing it, and sometimes when you jump near a wall but don't intend to climb it, you'll cling to it anyway. You can't interrupt attack animations with dodging, blocking, or jumping. This is particularly punishing during boss fights, which leads me to my next point, the boss fights. The boss fights definitely require a lot of patience from you. They are brutal and punishing. I hesitate to mention the boss fights as a con, especially as someone who has played a ton of Souls-likes from Dark Souls 1 through 3, Sekiro, Lies of P, and more. I'm definitely someone who has had their fair share of hours spent on a boss. The bosses in other games always feel like they're a me problem though. I simply lack the gear or the skill to defeat them. However, I will say that the bosses in this game pissed me off, and it's worth mentioning that the ones I fought so far have only taken me less than an hour each to beat. I won't spoil anything beyond the first main boss, Hornsplitter. This boss surprised the hell out of me, being the first challenging enemy I fought in the game up to this point by a large margin. He was fast, unrelenting, and had super armor. I was able to beat him on my second try, after taking a moment to learn his fairly simple but quick moveset. However, this guy is just a taste of the utter BS that is the later bosses. Like I said, I won't spoil anything in this video, but believe me when I say that the later boss fights just require you to brute force with healing food. It's worth mentioning that at the time of making this video, the developers of the game have already released patch notes that will nerf some of the bosses in the game. Lastly, there are a few smaller qualms I have, like the lighting being off sometimes, obviously the story, which I mentioned earlier, and the fact that there are other playable characters, but they are unable to even interact with the game world the same way that Cliff does, since they don't have the same abilities as him. Beyond that, I've been having a good deal of fun with Crimson Desert. It doesn't hold your hand, it gives you hints and tips at what is available either through quests or question marks on the map, but everything else is up to you to explore, find, and test out. I'll be honest, when I was taking my notes for this game, I realized I had way too much to talk about. I initially wanted to make an in-depth review covering as much stuff in the game as possible. Like I said earlier though, I'm only on Chapter 6, and I know that I'm not even close to touching the surface of what this game has to offer. Realistically speaking, I've maybe seen 10% of it max. I wanted to make this shorter video to hopefully help any of you who are still on the fence of making the decision of grabbing this game. I do still intend on making a much more in-depth and also much longer review video in the future, but I have a lot more ground to cover. I hope that this video was informative or entertaining or both. If you did enjoy it, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe. If you played the game, please let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.